Saints win 17-10 on Saturday against the Cleveland Browns. It was negative 16 degrees with the wind chill. And if you saw these games in Pittsburgh, in Kansas City, in Chicago, in Cleveland, in Baltimore, it was just absolutely miserable conditions. And the Saints game was no exception to that. In fact, with the wind chill, the Saints game was the coldest out of all of the games. I'll be honest with you, at 10-3 at halftime, I figure the Browns are going to win this game. I thought before the game that the Browns would win the game because I thought that they had a superior rushing attack to the Saints and it would play well in this weather. The Saints rushing defense the week before against Atlanta had surrendered well over 200 yards on the ground, and I figured that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt would just eat that up. Didn't think that there would be a lot of passing in the game, and there wasn't. But I missed on the running attack because with Taysom Hill as a big part of it, the Saints were able to outrush Cleveland. With Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the other side, that was a surprise to me. The Saints came from behind to win this game. The Saints got some key stops to win this game. The Saints got some big catches out of Rashid Salid, who has been a revelation in this season. And most importantly, I think than anything I saw was the fact that on a day where it was negative 16 and the Saints were behind and it's Christmas Eve and you really are thinking more about getting home and getting warm and getting this over with, even with the slim hopes of getting into playoffs, the Saints responded. The Saints made plays. Tyrann Mathieu was all over the place on Saturday. That was his best game as a Saint. And it leads me to something that we're going to talk about a little bit more in the next segment, which is a lot of teams are looking right now at what the next step is going to be, because 2 weeks from yesterday, it's Black Monday, and I don't even know if we can call it that anymore because teams are, they're trying to beat the rush, okay? Denver made the move that everybody could see coming since very, very early in the season. They fired Nathaniel Hackett. He's now the third coach that is down. There'll be more. I don't even know if they wait all the way until Monday. But teams like the Saints are trying to figure out what they're going to do. Teams like the Panthers are trying to figure out what they're going to do. Teams like the Texans, the Raiders, all of these teams have to make a call on, are they going to come back with these coaches next year? And for the Saints to have responded this way over the last 2 weeks, listen, it's Atlanta and Cleveland. We're not throwing a Super Bowl parade here. But he does at least have the attention of the building. He does still have them bought in. They have looked a little bit better. This wasn't the easiest game to win on Saturday. There were a lot of reasons that the Saints could have mailed it in. The Denver Broncos mailed in Christmas Day. It wasn't that they had a poor coach, though they did, or a quarterback that has taken leave of his body. I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson. But they quit. I mean, they absolutely quit. Saints didn't do that. That's just one piece of the puzzle. You got to do more than that. But at least they are still bought in. And if they win one of the last two, and it's going to be difficult because they play Philadelphia this week, and even if Jalen Hurts doesn't play, the Eagles, top to bottom, are a vastly superior team to the Saints, and they've had New Orleans' number. Not only do they have a better team than the Saints, they're a particularly bad matchup for the Saints, the way they run the football. They have the last 2 years exceeded 200 yards on the ground. If you give up 200 yards on the ground, you're probably going to lose. And then the final week against the Carolina Panthers, who all of a sudden look like the favorites in the NFC South. I mean, you tell me, you watch the Bucks on Christmas night after everybody went home and the kids are, done and down for the night. If you turn it on just to, have something to do while you're sipping what's left of the wine, and you look at that, it's like, man, Tom Brady looks like crap. I'm sorry. I mean, they got the win, but they look terrible. And the Panthers ran for 340 yards, man. They look like they want to play. They look like they're into it. and they're playing for the coach's job. I mean, if the Panthers win these next 2 games and they win the NFC South, doesn't Steve Wilks have to come back? I mean, if you inherited that mess and you turned it into a playoff team, even in this lousy division, don't you have to bring that guy back? Hasn't he earned the right to come back? That's who the Saints see the next 2 weeks. The best team in football, one of the 2 or 3 best teams in football. If Jalen Hurts isn't there, Philadelphia is still a top 6 team, even without Hurts. With him, they're probably the best team in football. You got to beat them, and you got to beat the Panthers, who all of a sudden believe. They've picked up the torch for Steve Wilks, and again, they're not throwing a Super Bowl parade over there, but it's looked okay. I mean, he inherited a disastrous quarterback situation, although the Baker Mayfield reclamation project is just fascinating. But they were playing the Broncos. They're playing the Broncos and the Raiders. Okay, so let's not get too carried away.